Welcome, everyone, to the Tuesday, April 16th, 2024 Tumwater City Council meeting. We will start off with roll call.
Councilmember Leetta Dahlhoff.
Present.
Councilmember Angela Jefferson.
Present.
Councilmember Joan Cathy.
She's not present. We'll see if she shows up in a minute.
Councilmember Eileen Swarthout.
Present.
Councilmember Michael Althauser.
Present.
Councilmember Peter Agabe.
Present.
Councilmember Kelly Von Holz.
Present.
Mayor Debbie Sullivan.
And I am present. Join me in our salute to our flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, we have two special items this evening. Both of these are proclamations. And the first one is Child Abuse Prevention Month, April 2024. And Councilmember Althauser will read that.
Thank you, Mayor. Whereas the city of Tumwater recognizes our future rests in the hands of our most vulnerable and cherished assets, our children. And whereas all children deserve to live in a safe, stable, and nurturing environment which promotes their healthy growth and development. And whereas child abuse, neglect, and other trauma are recognized as serious public health problems affecting both the current and future quality of life in our community. And whereas it is the responsibility of our community to ensure parents, caregivers, and other adults who influence the health and well-being of children have the support, knowledge, and concrete resources to ensure all children thrive to their greatest potential. And whereas effective child abuse prevention strategies succeed because of partnerships among agencies, schools, religious organizations, law enforcement agencies, healthcare providers, and the business community. And whereas we as City of Tumwater residents continue our commitment to protecting all members of our community and call upon all residents to join together to increase public safety and prevent the further abuse and neglect of our children. Now, therefore, Debbie Sullivan, Mayor of the City of Tumwater, does hereby proclaim the month of April 2024 Child Abuse Prevention Month and urge all Tumwater residents, communities, state agencies, faith groups, medical facilities, elected leaders, medical providers, educators, and businesses to increase their participation in efforts to support families, thereby preventing child abuse and strengthening the community in which we live.
Great, thank you. And I believe we have, I will be presenting the proclamation, and I believe we have some members here to accept the proclamation. So thank you very much. And I also present with pencils. And I believe you're going to be handing out some items to our council members. Yes, and go ahead and have Chris say a few words, and here's the proclamation.
Thank you all. My name is Chris Desmond. I'm the current president of the board of FES. I'm a local attorney. Family Education Support Services is on Capitol Boulevard. We're one of the
Thank you very much.
biggest nonprofits currently in Tumwater, and we served over 20,000 parents in total in the last year. And we would love to thank Tumwater for its support of our organization, where we provide education and services to parents so they can be the best parents that they can be for kiddos in our community. Thank you. The pinwheels are part of the child abuse prevention. You might see them around the Capitol building.
Thank you. All right, now my little system for turning on and off mics was not working for a second there. If we got it fixed. So, all right. Next proclamation is for Arbor Day, April 20th, 2024, and Councilmember Agabi will be reading that.
Oh, great. Proclamation, whereas in 1872, J. Sterling Martin posted Nebraska Board of Agriculture that a special day be set aside for the planting of trees. And whereas this holiday was called Arbor Day, was first observed with the planting of more than 1 million trees in Nebraska. And whereas Arbor Day is now observed throughout the world, and whereas trees reduce erosion of our precious topsoil by wind and water, cut heating and cooling costs, moderate the temperature, clean the air, produces oxygen, provide habitation for wildlife, and are a source of joy and spiritual renewal. And whereas trees are a renewable resource, providing paper, wood to build our homes, fuel for our trees, and countless other valuable and necessary products. And whereas trees increases property value, enhances the economic vitality of business areas, and beautify our community. And whereas since 1995, the city of Tumwater has been recognized by the National Arbor Day Foundation as a Tree City USA. And whereas the city has begun implementation of the Urban Forest Management Plan, which guides the growth, protection, and maintenance of the city community and urban forests, and to encourage the right tree in the right places. And whereas the city of Tumwater will celebrate Arbor Day with a free event on Saturday, April 2024 from 10 a.m. to 12 noon at Tumwater Historical Park. At this event, residents can take home Arbor Day memorabilia, free potted native plants for the first 100 people, and have the opportunity to ask a professional forester, landscape architect, or horticulturalist about the proper planting of and care for plants. Now, therefore, David Sullivan, the mayor of the city of Tumwater, do hereby proclaim April 2024 as Arbor Day, and further encourage all people in the city of Tumwater to participate in our Arbor Day and Earth Day celebration and support effort to protect our trees and woodlands. Signed in the city of Tumwater, Washington, recognized on this 16th of April in the year 2024.
Thank you, Councilmember Agabi. I believe we have one of our staff members to come up and accept this proclamation.
Get a pencil? You get a pencil. Thank you. And thank you very much. I hope that all residents of Tumwater come out and celebrate Earth Day and Arbor Day with us. I don't think there's enough parking for all the residents, so maybe ride your bike. But we'll have lots of plants and seeds, and the tree board will be there available to answer any tree related questions. So I hope to see many Tumwater residents. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, so now we are to public comment portion. And so at this time, we will be receiving public comment. You may comment on items related to city business, that is not scheduled for a public hearing. There's a sign-up sheet that is available in the back for those who wish to sign up for public comment. When I call your name, please come up to the podium, speak in the microphone, state your name, address for the record. Each individual will be limited to 1 3-minute period for the remarks, regardless of the number of topics they wish to address. All comments shall be directed towards council as a whole, not to individual council members and not to members of the audience. Please refrain from disruptive behaviors such as booing, hissing, audible comments, cheering, and clapping. Thank you. So okay. And I think, do we have some in Zoom also?
We have one on Zoom.
Okay. Why don't we go ahead and do the Zoom
Okay, we have
one
Beowulf
first, and then
Brower.
I'll go to in chamber.
And we have Beowulf Brower. Well, I've allowed you to talk.
There you go. You all hear me okay?
Yes.
So let's see here. I wish to speak briefly to the council for the Davis Meeker oak tree. Over the past few weeks, I have dug deeply into the report written by the city arborist concerning the condition of the tree as well as a history of work done on it previously. I implore you all to read the analysis I compiled and sent in, as well as the comments from other arborists which have much more experience than myself. The report as it currently is written cannot be used to justify the removal of the tree based on the sheer number of errors it contains. The report presents an objectively wrong assessment of the risks posed by the tree. As a tree city, we have an ethical responsibility to seek accurate reporting of our heritage trees. In the last week, I've filed and received a public records disclosure included with the report from the Washington City's Insurance Authority. The Washington City's Insurance Authority categorically did not make any recommendations for the removal of the tree. This is despite the member of the city attorney's office describing the tree as being very dead. I sent the full disclosure report to the council along with my analysis. 3 minutes is not nearly enough to fully explain the analysis of the report. I can only reiterate, please listen to all the arborists who have taken time to voice their opinions. We have all done this pro bono for the benefit of the tree and of the community. I'm confident we can come to a solution for preservation, but first we must have a usable report completed by a neutral third party. Thank you all for your continued efforts and happy early Arbor Day.
Thank you. First person on the sign-in list is Ryan Reynolds. If you can come to the podium, state your name and address.
20 Blomberg Street, Southwest. I'm coming to introduce myself and reintroduce myself to some. I am the current president at Tumwater Area Chamber of Commerce. And I wanted to do a couple things. One, to introduce myself. Second was to say thank you to some participants from the council and the city here over the last several years for the participation with the chamber. And also want to let you know that we intend over the next several years to strengthen our bond with the city and become a little bit more involved, and hope that there's more involvement from the city itself with the chamber too. With that, I'll conclude. Thank you.
Thank you. Pamela Hansen.
Good evening. Pamela Hansen, P.O. Box 14521, Tumwater, Washington. Thank you for being at our council. These are issues that were brought to my attention by KOMO News Radio, and I felt the need to comment on them. So I'll use my old saying, there it is. There are the issues right there, not pointed at anyone, but hopefully everybody can talk about them in a calm way. The recent news on KOMO News Radio today was about the marijuana break-in armed cannabis heist that happened earlier this month. A security officer was taken hostage. Congratulations to everyone involved. It sounds like everyone was safe from harm, but the issue of stolen cars and people from King County and Pierce County entering Tumwater and causing this type of disruption is unacceptable. So I would like to give my 100% support, as probably all of you, to the Tumwater Police Department and the Tumwater Fire Department in their response to issues like this, and in the hopes that we can prevent anything very dangerous and deadly from happening in the future. 420 is approaching, and that was graffiti on one of my patrol sites in Alaska. And that was back when cannabis was not recreationally approved for sale in Alaska. So it started there as graffiti and like an underground downtown type of situation. Since then, marijuana has been legalized, and I heard on the radio advertising on KOMO News Radio for a casino promoting 420 and to be there on 420. For what it's worth, I hope that nothing happens on that day, but the partying is going to happen, and the safety and health and is important for our fire department and a police department, and I hope nothing happens. I would like to suggest that everyone read an article about Port Orchard and the super cartels. In that, there was surveillance, and it was discussed how phones or whatever type of surveillance helped keep people from harm in that situation. So as marijuana and different drugs proliferate in Tumwater, hopefully they will decrease. But it gives you a different view of what may happen around you and how you can be more safe. And I'll save the other one for later. It's not important. But thank you.
Thank you. Shelley Willis was here earlier. Dave Nicandri.
Mayor, I'm here tonight. Oh, for Dave Nicandri, 505 4th Avenue Southwest. Member of the Tumwater Historic Preservation Committee and a member of the Tumwater City Council from 1977 to 1987. I'm here tonight with the foreknowledge that this is a minor presentation. Historic Highway 99 signs are about to go up at the city entrance. I had the pleasure of working with Chuck. They're bigger than I expected, but you see these signs when you're driving by a highway at 70 miles an hour. Maybe, but they look great, Chuck. And I've enjoyed working with Chuck, and I look forward to the next thing. These signs I refer to, look, I have to check my notes here. Signs like this are readily visible in economic historicity. They just speak volumes, much more so than our White Elephant historic house down by the park, which costs a lot to maintain, has no practical utility. Everyone reading, seeing these signs coming and going can immediately glean the readily accessible and economic display of historicity. I wore my historic Route 66 t-shirt tonight. A lot of communities are recognizing their historic highways, and historic Highway 99 is coming into its own. If I were 60 years younger and more agile, I could stand on my head and it would read 99. Sorry, you shouldn't laugh at your own stuff, but I just can't resist. Anyway, this is a start, and I look forward to when we can start putting up historic Highway 1 signs on 2nd Avenue over by Tower Building, Michael T. Simmons, because the predecessor highway to Highway 99 was the Pacific Coast Highway, primary state Highway 1, which ran through Tumwater, more or less on the same alignment as Highway 99, but before the freeway crossed over to the Michael T. Simmons neighborhood, before crossing back down over what is now the freeway alignment down into the historic park across Boston Bridge up and onto Olympia. So historic Highway 1 is the next assignment. Lastly, I'm here to kind of clarify a misunderstanding about the Tumwater Historic Preservation Commission and another very tangible, readily visible, and economic element of historicity, and that is the oak tree down by the airport. Contrary to common perception that I've seen in the press, or what stands for the press these days, I'm referring to the story in the Jolt, or what I've read in some correspondence from the city, the Historic Preservation Council Commission actually already has made a recommendation. We recommend that the triangular piece of ground, which the city already owns and in its right of way, am I out of time? That'll become a botanical park. There's no driveway, there's no signs, there's no infrastructure. All you simply have to do is plant an oak tree there. That's what that recommendation was intended to convey. And we'll take up the matter of the listing of the tree at our next meeting. Thank you very much.
Thank you. So those are all the individuals signed up. Is there anyone else who wishes to make public comment? All right, with that, we will move to the consent calendar. Council member Dahlhoff requested that item 6E be moved to council consideration. So do I have a motion to approve the adjusted consent calendar?
As amended, so moved.
I'll second.
All right, it's been moved by Councilmember Dahlhoff, seconded by Councilmember Swarthout. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, nay. Okay, the motion carries. With that, we approve the minutes of our February 27th City Council meeting, March 11th, City Council work session. March 11th City Council work session, our City Council meeting of March 19th, City Council work session of March 26th, approval of the minutes of the Joint Planning Commission special meeting tour, April 9th, payment vouchers, interlocal agreement with Thurston County for Indigenous Defense Legal Services Amendment number 4, service provider agreement for EXP, the climate element for the 2025 comprehensive plan periodic update, service provider agreement with FIR and PERS for the transportation plan of the 2025 comprehensive plan periodic update, memorandum of understanding between the City of Tumwater and Lot Clean Water Alliance regarding the purchase and sale agreement of property in the Deschutes Valley, and reappointment of Tanya Noswa and Jim Sedora for the tree board. And that was all of the items on the consent agenda. Now we'll move to council considerations. First item is resolution number R 2024-009, Comprehensive Emergency Management Plan Update. And Chief Hurley will be doing the presentation.
Great. Thank you, council members. Just a brief presentation tonight related to our comprehensive plan, emergency management plan update and the associated resolution. So just a brief reminder kind of about the universe of emergencies we could see, both natural and human cause. Certainly, some of the ones up here related to weather, fire. You can even, extend this into, cyber attack, things like a pandemic. And also, most recently on the news, thinking about transportation issues, say in Baltimore, where they had the bridge collapse. I'm sure they still have a full emergency operations center activation related to that situation. But emergency management, just as a reminder, it creates a framework to help us reduce vulnerabilities and cope with hazards and disasters. It's an essential role of government, and it's tasked at the state and local level. The federal government can step in if requested, if local resources are overwhelmed. Emergency management's evolved to reflect national values, emerging threats, and the goal obviously is a safe, secure, and resilient community. This is really hard to see, but this outlines the 5 mission areas. They are prevention, protection, mitigation, response, and recovery. That's really the focus of this slide. There are 32 associated core capabilities, but for instance, with mitigation, the city's addressed that through the hazard mitigation plan. That's a key thing. There's also going to be more engagement with the county moving ahead on disaster recovery. That's another important topic. As far as the city goes, and our emergency management plans, the comprehensive emergency management plan is our guiding document. At the city level, we have an emergency management committee, directors and some of the senior managers. The goal is to coordinate city and department emergency management activities, coordinate training for city staff, exercises related to emergency management, and support and staff the Emergency Operations Center if activated. And the question has come up before, when has it been activated? Really, the last full activation was around the Nisqually earthquake. There have been several other times where we have certainly exercised emergency management activities, but short of a full activation. So the plan itself, it guides our city response before, during, and after a disaster. It's required to be updated on a 5-year cycle. There was an actual 1-year extension due to issues related to COVID. We're required to have an up-to-date plan to apply for and receive FEMA grant funding. So at the end of December, we did submit a revised plan to the State Emergency Management Division for their their review. They reviewed the plan and stated that it meets 100% of the legal requirements for the plan. And they also include a number of suggestions for us to work on and consider over the next 5 years and as we move into the next cycle of a plan update. And what's changed in the plan? It's been updated to align with federal, state, and county plans. You know, and what I'll say up front, one thing we did is we worked pretty closely with the city of Olympia. Their staff there did a tremendous amount of work. They submitted in the previous year for their plan update, and we took much of the work that Olympia did, and they were very gracious in assisting us in developing or updating our plan. It's been reorganized and simplified to make it more user-friendly for our staff, removed unnecessary jargon, and created a structure that's more familiar and usable for staff. Some of the new content is related to the concept of the whole community, and we're going to need to take some actions related to communicating to our community with folks with limited English proficiency and also access and functional needs. And that, you know, we need to know those areas and, you know, possible locations where we may have to assist somebody with an evacuation because they're unable to evacuate on their own. It specifically addresses the 5 mission areas that I spoke of earlier. And I won't get into the details here, but it also addresses the required emergency support functions in the plan, but we've done it in a way that makes it more convenient for the departments to utilize. It also focuses on recovery planning and aligning those efforts. Just the last couple of slides I want to touch on relate to your roles in this. Really, they focus around communications, policy decisions, supporting response efforts, and supporting recovery efforts. And more specifically, in the case of a disaster, certainly the number one thing is to take care of yourself and your family first. You know, you can't help others unless things are taken care of there. Be prepared, have those 2 weeks ready supplies at home, and keep them up to date. You're doing some of this work now in establishing and maintaining an organization for emergency management as required in the RCW and listed out in our municipal code. If there is an emergency, you should maintain contact with a city administrator or designee, which most likely would be the fire chief, and get instructions as to what might be needed to help with the emergency. It could involve providing recommendations if the mayor did issue a proclamation. It could be council action to then endorse those types of actions. In coordination with the city administrator and the emergency operations center manager, interface with representatives of other jurisdictions. You know, it could be the county, it could be our neighboring cities, and help figure out what coordination needs to be accomplished there. Certainly, you may be called upon to participate in joint media efforts as well to communicate, make sure we're sharing a common message throughout our community as to what community members need to do. And in the end, in conjunction with other city elected leaders, make policy decisions as requested by the city administrator and the EOC manager. So with that, after a presentation at the Public Health and Safety Committee last week, the recommendation was to adopt Resolution R 2024-009, Comprehensive Emergency Management Plan Update at this meeting tonight. So with that, I'd be happy to take any questions.
Any questions? Councilmember Swarthout?
I was curious, I remember back in the day when the county had the cell phone notification. Is that still an active thing?
Yeah, TC Alert is still active, and you can actually sign up through the website, through Thurston County Emergency Management.
And is it only pertinent to county things, or if something happened in Tumwater, is it?
You can sign up for area specific alerts,
Oh,
and we
so-
do. The city of Tumwater, we participate with the county in that system, so we're able to send out alerts specific to Tumwater that we deem necessary as well. All right, thank you.
Any other questions? All right. I believe we're adopting this particular, do I hear anyone? Councilmember Dahlhoff?
We had, I felt like it was so long ago to realize it was just last Tuesday, Chief Hurley. And I was like, oh, it sounds familiar. It was robust. It was a great presentation. It's clear. And so this is an ongoing. So move adoption resolution number R2024-009, comprehensive emergency plan management update as recommended by Public Health and Safety Committee at their April 9, 2024 meeting.
And I second.
Okay, it's been moved by Councilmember Dolha, seconded by Councilmember Jefferson. Any discussion on the motion? With that, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Those opposed, nay. Motion carries. Thank you very much. All right, next item is service provider agreement extension with Thurston EDC for the Thurston Strong Phase 2. And Mike Matlock will present.
Good evening. Thank you. Back in October of 21, the city council appropriated $350,000 in ARPA funds or American Recovery Plan Act funds to Thurston Strong in order to stand up and help childcare in Tumwater and also entrepreneurs that are in specific categories. So there's 205,000 was allocated for childcare facilities and 80,000 for training and scholarships for eligible businesses and entrepreneurs. And those entrepreneurs revolved around the brewing and distilling program in Tumwater and also in particular, BIPOC entrepreneurs in Tumwater. Since its startup, Thurston Strong has distributed about $10 million to our community to assist through pandemic efforts. So it's been no small effort that they've done. And, but it took a little bit longer to stand up this program than was anticipated originally. And so about 2 months ago, funds started to be distributed for these purposes, but we still have a little ways to go. So it's just necessary to extend the term of the agreement that council has already approved out to the end of 2025. And so with that, staff would ask that the council authorize the mayor to sign a service provider agreement extension with the Thurston EDC for Thurston Strong Phase 2.
All right, any questions or comments? Councilmember Swarthout.
So, so the 350,000 hasn't been spent yet, is that right? Hasn't
Not
been
all of it,
allocated?
yes.
We're still, okay.
Mhm.
And so who stands up the grants for the childcare part? Where's, what's that?
The EDC does
Oh,
that
EDC
in
does?
conjunction with the county, yes.
And what kind of grants are they providing are we looking at for our childcare, do you know?
It's focused on expanding capacity from what we started with pre-pandemic. So we have more childcare facilities. As we've talked about, I think as part of the Thurston Strong effort, that became evident right away that that was a real weak point in getting people back to work after the pandemic was having childcare facilities. And they were kind of on the brink pre-pandemic, and it became evident that the business model just wasn't working. So we've spent a lot of time and effort and money trying to make that better than it was pre-pandemic.
Thank you.
All right, any other questions, comments? All right, do I hear a motion?
I would like to make a motion to approve and authorize the mayor to sign the service provider agreement extension with the Thurston EDC for the Thurston Strong Phase 2.
I'll second.
It's been moved by Councilmember Swarthout, seconded by Councilmember Althauser. Any discussion on the motion? With that, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, and now we will cover the item pulled from our consent calendar for the approval of the minutes for the City Council retreat of March 29th, 2024, and Councilmember Dolha.
Yeah, thanks, Mayor. Really quick. I guess I get so used to the meeting minutes. I think Administrator Parks and our city attorney Kirkpatrick for reminding that we meet the requirements. That was never in question, right? It's in the first two retreats, we always had something tangible from that. Like we had the ground rules that were going to be posted everywhere. And the second one, we did the strategic goals and priorities. We have that. When I read the meeting minutes for this, it just didn't reflect the robust conversation of concerns, right? And how we move forward. And that just wasn't reflected. So thinking moving forward, how do I reflect back to that event? Those comments that we made in the discussion that we had just was not reflected. So that's why I asked to be pulled, because I just didn't think it reflected the topics of concern that were noted. and the robust conversation that we had about that, and it just wasn't addressed. So that was my only thing. So I didn't feel comfortable voting yes on it in the consent packet. That's it.
Okay, so we still need the minutes approved. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Okay, it's been moved and second to approve the minutes of the City Council retreat of March 29th, 2024. Any discussion on the motion? Councilmember Kathy, do you have a
Yeah.
question?
I do. I would like to follow up on what Council Member Dahlhoff said and ask the question, what could we put in there as a guide or as a what we did discuss or where we want to go or where we want to get to? Should we make an addition to the minutes? Should we have further discussion about this, or are we just going to leave them the way they are, even though there's concern about whether they reflect the issues we had and where we're going?
So that was a discussion. So any other discussion? Because I will have Councilmember Parks, because I believe that there was some information. I'm sorry, Councilmember Parks. City,
You're one of us, Lisa.
City Administrator Parks. Oh my goodness. It's been a long week already.
On or off? There we
There
go.
you go.
Okay. So the research that I did was to ask Melody to pull previous minutes from council retreat sessions. The minutes that you've been provided for March 29th are consistent in format and content with what we've approved before. It is true that we got notes from Nancy for the January 27th and the February 24th meeting, and those were much more detailed. I haven't gotten anything from Nancy with respect to those, but the official council minutes are from those two meetings are consistent with the form and content of the council minutes that are proposed for March.
That's not in question. It's what happened at the retreat. Didn't that discussion and those concerns were not addressed in the first two. That's why it's different. The robust conversation we had of concerns about policies and staffing were not brought up in that manner in the first two. That's what's different. That's what I was just saying. It doesn't reflect the engaging conversation we had. And I just wanted that documented somewhere, whether it's me just saying, hey, it's not in there. I like it being there, but it meets the needs and we move on. I just wanted it to be addressed. So if down the road, we circle back to those conversations we had and how we're going to move forward, that it's documented somewhere, because I have nowhere to reference. That's what my thought was.
I'm happy to check with Nancy to see if she's got some notes that she's planning to send over. I admit I haven't talked to her since then at this point.
That's it, right? Just how do I reference back when we had that? Remember we talked about that? I have nowhere to go. This is.
Yeah, I think it was all the materials we received separate from the minutes. So this is stuff that we will be getting from Nancy.
Just the other ones
but-
were included. That's right. That's the difference, is we got them in a quicker fashion and they were attached.
But they were separate from the agenda, from the minutes though.
The notes that Nancy provided were not part of the official minutes of the recording of
they
the
were not.
council retreat. But they were provided.
It's
to
somewhere
you.
that we could go to and
Yeah.
link.
Right.
That's
Yeah.
where
Yeah.
the disconnect was for me. That's why I just wanted to have
Yeah.
that conversation.
So Nancy will be sending those to us. It's just not included in the minutes like the others were not included in minutes.
I will check with Nancy and get back to you for sure.
All right. Any other discussion?
Are we just talking about the minutes of the first two meetings, or are we talking also about the wrap-up meeting?
This was just strictly on the March 29th meeting.
The other minutes for January 27th and February 24th have actually already been approved.
Right. I didn't know if we were going back talking about that or
No.
just
Okay.
the 29th.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Councilmember Von Holtz.
I'm trying to remember, so sorry. The other two retreats that we had, so were those minutes just sent to council members? So like,
They were approved just like this.
no, the notes from Nancy. So that's,
Mhm. Yes.
they were posted on the web
No, they were sent by email to the council members.
and that, but that's the only way.
Right.
That's okay.
They are public records if somebody wants
Right.
to request those, absolutely.
Right.
But they were only, in fact, I think Nancy sent them to you directly
Yeah.
after each of those last two meetings. So, yeah.
All right. Any other additional questions? All right. With that, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor of approving the minutes of the retreat of March 29th, 2024, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay.
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 All right, the ayes have it. So those minutes are approved and we will be following up with Nancy to get the information that you're requesting.
Awesome. Thank you.
All right, with that, we are now going to committee reports and Councilmember Agabi for Public Health and Safety.
So, on the 9th of this month, we had a public Health and Safety Committee meeting. And at the meeting, we discussed, actually, we had 2 items for our meeting that were just approved through our consent calendar. One of those is the interlocal agreement with the Austin County for Indigent Defense Legal Services Amendment number 4. And then the resolution R 2024-009, Comprehensive Emergency Management Plan update that Brian gave a presentation on a little while ago. So at that meeting, beside those 2 items, we talked about body-worn camera, which was our information-only presentation by Chief Wicks. And that was an extensive discussion. Since it was information only, there was no action item that we'll have to take an action on, because from what my recollection is that further information will be coming to the full council at a later date. And right after that body-worn camera discussion, we had staff report, which is NIJ research, WFC physical NIJ research by staff. And that was very engaging in the sense that the data points that were presented in that presentation is meant to inform how we will go about, or what we would do, or what we should be looking at once we have a body camera program in place. And the data points that were presented also was a comparison of similar or like cities compared to Tumwater, and what statistical significance of what they have seen or no significance of what they have seen. So the data itself, as a statistician, for me, I could not tell you if that data is useful, in the sense that if I were to run an analysis, root cause analysis, I would not be able to do that because the data is neither here nor there. But that was what was presented to us. So I guess more to come when the body camera data or program information is presented to the whole staff. And that is as much as I remember from our meeting, unless you have an addition.
All right, thank you. Next item is General Government Committee, Councilmember Althauser.
Thank you, Mayor. The General Government Committee met on Wednesday, April 10th, and we had a pretty packed agenda. We did a debrief on the housing tour. Thanks again to our staff, Brad and Erica, for helping lead those tour buses, and also to our drivers who kept us safe and took us to and fro from Olympia and through Tumwater to look at some of the different types of housing that we have in our respective communities. So we did a debrief on that and shared some thoughts. We also took a deep dive into the results from our most recent community survey, which I can tell you are fascinating. At the end of that presentation, our recommendation was that those survey results be brought to a council work session so that we can all have a thorough airing of those, and all ask our questions that will emanate therefrom. A lot of really, really great, important feedback, a lot of positive feedback, a lot of feedback about opportunities for improvement. And just a wealth of data. I'm really glad that we had the time to go through that. And I think that you'll all have a similarly interested thoughts when we have that information presented at a work session. We also approved two things that were on the consent calendar this evening: the service provider agreement for the climate element of the 2025 comprehensive plan update, and also the service provider agreement for the transportation plan element of the comp plan update. That was our meeting.
Thank you. Next is Public Works Committee, Councilmember Swartha.
Public Works will be meeting on April 18th, and on the agenda, we'll be discussing a request for a contract change order for the work that has been done on the let me see what house it's been, the brewmaster's house. They need to do some installation of ceiling wallpaper. So we'll be having a spirited discussion on Thursday morning at 8 a.m. and I encourage everyone to attend.
Thank you. All right. And Budget and Finance Committee will be held next Tuesday at 10 a.m. And so that will be the first one of this year. Next is the Mayor City Administrator report, and City Administrator Lisa Parks, if you want to start.
Thank you, Mayor, council members. Just a couple of things tonight. So first off, the city of Tumwater signed on to an opioid abatement settlement, an opioid settlement agreement between the state of Washington and Johnson & Johnson. January 24th of 2024, Washington entered into a $149.5 million settlement with Johnson & Johnson that will be payable this year. If all of the eligible cities and counties join as they did for prior settlements, the cities and counties will receive approximately $61.67 million of those dollars payable this summer in a lump sum payment. As with prior settlements, the funds will be apportioned based on the One Washington Memorandum of Understanding. And this settlement brings Washington State's overall total to more than $1.3 billion in settlement funds to help the state's opioid abatement and recovery programs. So good news and good work on the part of our own city administrator, Karen Kirkpatrick. And then I just wanted to give a few more pieces of information about our Earth Day celebration. Thanks to Alyssa for mentioning that as she was accepting the proclamation. Earth Day is happening at Tumwater Historical Park from 10 a.m. to noon. Earth Day is an opportunity to bring people together to take action for a healthier planet. And as a reminder of the importance of environmental conservation and sustainability. In 2012, the Park Foundation joined with the 4 local parks districts, parks departments in a combined effort to promote and encourage student-led service projects as a way to celebrate Earth Day. Even today, that tradition continues. The focus is on environmental education and awareness, as well as community involvement. So in Tumwater, our Parks and Recreation Department has been working with the local middle and high school students to reduce invasive plants in our environment. That's been their focus. The Tumwater Lions Club is supporting this effort with by funding a monetary prize that gets awarded to the top 2 Tumwater schools that bring the most volunteers to help with the project. And so I wanted to really extend a sincere thank you to all the students and the adult volunteers. I understand from Parks and Rec department staff that we had to close off the registration for this event because we had too many volunteers, which is a really good problem to have. Thank you also to the Tumwater Lions Club, the Park Foundation, the Thurston County Specialized Recreation Group, which is joining us this year to do a fun project that involves pine cones, peanut butter, and birdseed, I believe. And then also, of course, to our awesome Tumwater Parks and Recreation staff, They do a wonderful job and really help to create these awesome events that make Tumwater a great place to live, work, and play. That's all I have for you today. Thank you.
Great, thank you. So for mine, I attended 2 Intercity Transit Authority meetings. See, when you skip one meeting, council meeting, you get multiple reports. So I did attend the Intercity Transit Authority Board meeting on March 20th. And with that, we had some honor of the National Transit Employee Appreciation Day. And so we got to watch some video and footage of a lot of the events that was going on in Tumwater and all through the intercity transit area. We also talked about the Bus Buddy program having its official 10 years. Bus Buddy program is some program which there's volunteers that help people ride the bus, especially for seniors who need special assistance. And that's been going on for 10 years. There's a lot of other authorities that had a Bus Buddy program, but I believe that Intercity Transit is one of the final ones that still have that particular program. So it's really a great thing. So we also got Transportation Choice Coalition visited Intercity Transit on the 18th of March. And so that was at the Pattison Street. And then on April 3rd, also had an Intercity Transit Authority Board meeting. And with that, we were introduced to several new hires and also got an update on the walk and roll program. The walk and roll program, as a lot of you will know, is in the schools, but it's also been extended. There's a huge bicycle component of walk and roll, including youth bicycles and also adult bicycles. And since they built the new Pattison Street facility, they have a special shop there and they can teach you how to do things, and they recycle and repair bicycles that are donated. And there are so many in that facility. It's just amazing. So, and we also got some more information on our trip to Washington, D.C. for the legislative conference, which I attended last week. That was very productive. Met with staff and senators and legislators, or representatives from the state of Washington in Washington, D.C. So that's always a very good and productive trip. Some other things, I also attended TRPC. Councilmember Swarthout was unable to attend. Were you going to give a report on that or no? All right. So they have not sent out they haven't sent out the minutes yet, but the topics that we covered were the Thurston County Industrial Land Study and the Unified Work Plan, and then also the Regional Transportation Climate Change Update. So without the exact minutes, we can present that information in more detail at a future meeting. Some of the other items I've done since our last meeting was, I always love doing this every year and I did it for Black Hills, of the class of 2024 this year, senior presentations, and as presentations that the seniors have to do before they can graduate. I can tell you that there are some really, really, really amazing students. That gives me great hope and makes me encouraged that there's some great youth that'll be coming forward. And then I went to the Easter Egg Dash that was on Saturday before Easter. Last year it rained. This year was sunshine. I can tell you the crowds were so huge that it was just amazing. And then another item I attended was the Housing Authority of Thurston County. And the reason I attended that, first I was invited to that because they were doing a presentation on Sequoia North and Sterling Pines to kind of give an update to their board. As you know, Sterling Pines is the hotel that's on Capitol Boulevard that's going to be senior housing. And so they finally are doing that. And they showed some possible options for Sequoia North. And if works out great, we may have our first cottage village, which really is, I find, extremely exciting. but they're just in the planning process. They haven't gone through permitting or any of that yet. So that'll be exciting if they'll be able to do a cottage program with that. That'll be super exciting. All right, so with that, we will go to council member reports. Councilmember Kathy, do you mind if I start with you?
No, not at all. Did it appear as though I was nodding off or something? In talking about my meetings that I had, I was ill the day that general government and my other meeting was, and so I was unable to attend, but I trust my colleagues immensely. And I just wanted to also make a comment about Earth Day. This Earth Day is the 54th Earth Day, the celebration, 54 years. And I attended the very first one. And it is amazing to see how this has endured and how just us having to say we have enough volunteers is some of the absolute need and interest and care people are taking for the environment. It's been a long journey, and it's going to be a long journey forever. As long as we live on this planet, we need to protect it. So, and the other thing I wanted to mention was last month at our Regional Housing Council, our esteemed colleague, Council Member Michael Althauser, was elected as the chair of the Regional Housing Council. This is a big deal. This Regional Housing Council has grown from, hopes and dreams of what we could do for housing to this, multicultural, multi-jurisdictional, and many other, state, county things. And Michael has always been a great representative of Tumwater, and also had his mind and all of his stats and questions and heart into regional housing and doing something for housing and for homelessness. And I tell you, I couldn't be prouder than to sit on that board with him and to watch as he begins his leadership of this. And I think there are going to be some new conversations and moving along in some housing, not just issues, but solutions in our region. So Michael, congratulations, and you make us proud. So that's my report.
Great, thank you. Councilmember Swarthout.
Oh, thank you, Mayor. And I also want to thank you. Tumwater is very lucky on the TRPC committee because we get a twofer. So the mayor represents intercity transit, and I represent the city of Tumwater. So then I didn't have to bother my alternate Councilmember Althauser to be up at 8:30 in the morning to attend this 2.5-hour meeting. But thank you, Mayor. So yeah, I do enjoy those meetings. And then also to the tour, that was really great. I really appreciated all the work that went into it, and getting to see all the different housing types. Yesterday, we had our Thurston Climate Mitigation Collaborative Annual Retreat. We met at Olympia City Hall at 4 o'clock. And on our agenda, we talked about the staff presented 2024 jurisdiction highlights and the regional initiative update. We also had a presentation on the greenhouse gas emission trends and targets. And I apologize because I left my notes on the counter, and I will write them up because I'm sure that Councilmember Kathy would be interested in seeing the results of that study. And so I'll make sure that's available. And then we also had the Thurston County mitigation plan, the progress and our next steps that we will be going in. And one of the things I did want to say, and thank you to, we have the climate action work team of our people that applied to be on this committee, and the work that they're doing, because it's just amazing. It's a lot of work. They are kind of like the planning commission for us. but they review and make suggestions and do a lot of the heavy lifting for our council. And so I just want to extend thanks to them because it's really hard to get people to volunteer sometimes. And so I just make sure that they're recognized as well. And so then after that, we also had the 2025 regional initiative. So last year we came up with our 2024 one. And so this year we were working on trying to decide what the 2025 regional initiative was. And we were split between looking at buildings and energy or transportation and land use. And so we weren't able to come up with a consensus. So our staff was going to be looking back and answering some of the questions that we had so that we'll be able to make an informed decision on which one we will be selecting. So we'll be able to inform everyone of that as well. So that's my report.
Thank you. Councilmember Althauser.
Thank you, Mayor. As Councilmember Kathy mentioned, the Regional Housing Council met on March 27th, and I was honored by the other members to be voted as the chair of that group. I'd be remiss if I didn't offer my thanks and heartfelt gratitude to Councilmember Kathy, specifically for her mentorship over the years. Councilmember Kathy and I were two of the founding members of the Regional Housing Council back when it was called the Ad Hoc Committee to work on housing issues amongst the urban cities, which created a wonderful acronym where it was almost as long as the words in which you just spoke. Since then, that entity has grown to what we now call the Regional Housing Council. So it's really exciting to be in that role and to be able to help shape those issues countywide as well. In terms of our substantive agenda for that meeting, the action item that we did have was about a new pilot program that LOT is doing called the LOT Capacity Development Charge Pilot Program. Essentially, that awards credits to the different jurisdictions to provide cheaper connection fees for affordable housing projects. It's LOT's sort of way to find a nexus between helping address the housing crisis in our community while also kind of working in their space of water, sewer, and really the things that they are within their charge of working on. So as a city, we have 75 of these credits. They're called ERUs. Lacey has 75, Olympias has 75, and then the county also has 75. And the cities are already obligated to projects that we already have scheduled and in the pipeline. But some of the other jurisdictions have not obligated theirs yet, and the county hadn't either. So our action was to recommend that those credits be utilized for the Lansdale Point project. That's the project that we all talked about as a group last summer. It's over by the Olympia Co-op that'll provide about 160 units of affordable housing. And this is one of the tools that will help make that pencil, especially with increased construction costs. So it was a really great opportunity for us to be able to use an existing pilot program to help make an affordable project pencil, and we approved that unanimously. In terms of my other committees, the Funding Governance Work Group for the estuary did have a meeting today that was just a continuation of our discussion and the vetting of the potential draft interlocal agreement that we anticipate action on by November. There will be a number of additional meetings before that comes to this group as a whole. That probably won't be until the late summer or fall, I would imagine. I'd imagine we have a work session on it once it gets a little bit more fleshed out and more closer towards final. Other than that, I also went on the housing tour, and thanks again to staff for putting that together. It's very eye-opening. It's my report.
Thank you. Councilmember Dahlhoff.
Thank you, Mayor. Adding on to Councilmember Althauser, after the Regional Housing Council did that proposal, it came to LOT, Lacey, Olympia, Tumwater, Thurston County, Clean Water, now I'm making up names, LOT. And under LOT's Affordable Housing Support Program, we approved the Olympia's application to use the shared pool funds for connection fee rebates at the Lansdale Point project. So that was awesome. I also had Thurston County 911 communications, and if anyone's tracking the monthly call volumes, because I think this is fascinating. In February totals for 2024, we had people calling 911, 11,228 calls. Incoming calls, non-emergency, 12,911, and outgoing calls, 3,357, for a total for February 2024, 27,496. I didn't think that puts it in perspective of fire, police, EMS, basic life support, advanced life support, all the people that they serve. You can't tell, but I'm looking at two people in the back room, our two chiefs. So it just puts it in perspective of the work that you do every day. So that was TCOM. Also had Thurston County Opioid Response Task Force, the prevention subgroup, where we heard data from the 2023 Healthy Youth Survey. And sometimes our meetings blend together, but I think I put in a request to somebody to do a public health presentation or to come to council work session. Or maybe it was our mayor and a Friday update, or maybe it was an update with Lisa Parks. But they highlighted data from 10th graders and the use of substances and vaping and smoking, and suicide ideation is going up in our 10th graders. So that kind of ties into, for this coming year, what does our relationship look like with the school board members and Tumwater Hopes, which Councilmember Jefferson serves on. So like that has come up. And so I think it's timely, if we're going to be doing joint meetings, what that relationship looks like, and Tumwater Hopes. So that data was presented. I also had a meeting with Sheriff Sanders and the Olympic Health and Recovery Services. Following Chief Hurley having a meeting, I followed up to all staff with the slides about the SCAP program. And what does that look like for a presentation to the council to look at the calls and the Tumwater referrals that they're getting. And then I already talked about that. And then on Saturday, I was invited to Eagles Landing, which is in Tumwater. It's 120 homes, just to collect feedback from residents there that I've shared with an email to all applicable staff of their concerns. And it's a trend that we're building confidence, which is a positive for our community members to reach out. And the current concerns are regarding like safety of walking or speeders, right? Or of a tree. Ironically enough, it's another tree issue. So dividing that up and sending them to the applicable people. And I'm just hoping that we continue to build that rapport with our seniors who have been scared to use their voice for fear of retaliation of the managers or the owners, that they're actually now feeling more unified and sharing. We talked for almost 2 hours about all the stuff that they're worried about, right? Which is the goal, just to build their confidence with coming to the city. So I think that was a big success, and it made me very, very happy. And then I took a nap afterwards. That is my report.
Thank you. Councilmember Gabi.
So, on the 8th of this month, I attended the JASCOM meeting. JASCOM is a Joint Animal Services Commission meeting, committee meeting, and it was a heavy item meeting, but not much in terms of action. So we talked about site studies regarding a new site for the facility. And there are several criteria and several items that goes into selecting the site. So there was an action item per se, because that is going to be something that Tumwater, Olympia, Lacey, and the county will have to agree upon. So we talked about a budget amendment, and this budget amendment is for current expenses that have already been incurred or will be incurred. So the amendment will just show up this the shortfall. So we have a budget amendment for $30,000. And last year in December, a new veterinary doctor was hired at the facility, and since then she has been very, very, very busy. So, for example, since December that she's been at the facility, she has done 726 surgeries, and those surgeries include spray and neuter. And on average, there are 25 surgeries per day, and the number of surgeries is anticipated to increase. And then we also talked about the Nisqually Tribe agreement contract for, I believe, $75,000. And that was for GASCOM. And then on the 10th of this month, I attended the Tustin County Transportation Board meeting. One of our first items at that meeting was an application that was submitted by the city of Tumwater for an amendment to the Somerset Hill Fish Passage barrier removal, and that amendment was passed. And then we had staff present an overview of the state fiscal year 2025 Unified Planning Work Program. And this program included unfunded need identifying the draft and subsequent meeting with technical advisory committee and state federal partners. And that is an ongoing project. And then we had a call for project process. This was the bulk of our activities on that day. So from this year, if you remember last year, we had been talking about this call for project and how they were going to score a project, whether a rural or urban, and what sort of criteria they were going to use to do that. So that is still in the works. That has not been, at least to my recollection, we did not agree on a particular process. So that is an ongoing process. But in terms of this call for this project process, that is going to feature heavily in how each project that has to be shovel-ready is allocated funds that move forward for funding. However, at this meeting, we did approve a $1 million from the Carbon Reduction Program Fund to prioritize the trail pavement preservation set aside. And that is going to go towards our trails maintenance and then upkeep. And the criteria, so we have additional enhancement to the active transportation and safety project selection criteria, which were approved. This were in addition to the to what I was getting regarding the selection process of a project is allocated a point. While these are still these are still being talked about, we did have at least some maybe criteria that would be used. So some of those criteria would be incorporating considerations such as ADA compliance, street lightings, pavement markings, enhanced street connector fixtures, and review process for scoring and ranking proposal, which would be entailed in 3 meetings that will be in the future. We have a future November in-person meeting. And before that, I believe there is going to be some subcommittee meeting to be determined at a later date. So when I say considerations such as ADA compliance, street lighting, and pavement markings, for my discussion, say for example, our work on Capitol Boulevard is a new project. So that project has to show that not only is it an improvement to the city of Tumwater, it also includes some architectural enhancement that will make those viable. So those will kind of like the ADA compliance, the street lighting, the pavement marking, and so on and so forth. So those are still in the work, but those will be part of the call for project, how funds will be allocated. So that is me.
Thank you. Councilmember Jefferson.
Thank you, Mayor. Councilmember Delhoff mentioned T-Hopes. Drug use is up, vaping is up in schools, suicide ideations are up. I met with T Hopes on 11th of April. Her name is Courtney, the new coalition leader, and she's been there maybe about 3 or 4 months. I expressed my frustrations to Courtney because our meetings are unorganized, unfocused. We've lost focus, and we are meeting just to meet. I very much dislike meet just to meet, and we're spinning our wheels. So I asked her, what's our mission? What's our vision? Who are your partners? We should be working hand in hand with FES, with schools. What are we doing? How are you going to move forward? What are our goals? What's your work plan? You need to reintroduce yourself to the community, to our partners. Our kids need us, and we're unfocused. We need to revive this, basically. She thanked me because she was feeling unfocused also. So we're going to meet. I said, come up with some PowerPoint slides to reintroduce yourselves to the city council, to the superintendent, to Shelley, to everyone, because I don't know what it was back in the past when we started, but we've lost that. So let's get it together and let's fix it, basically, was what I recommended. So we have somewhere, and I honestly told her, I'm questioning the value of T Hopes. Why are we here? So as you can tell, I was a little bit hot above the collar, but she understands the severity, the job that she needs to do. So she's going to let us know what the ACA is and what can she do for us, because she was telling me that she did great things in the other communities. I said, well, we need that. You're new. Tell us what we need to do, right? You're the leader. Let's step up and let's do this. So more to follow on that. So today we met and discussed a destination master plan. All research is done, and we had the conversation with stakeholders in the community. We held our visioning process, and since the conclusion, we drafted a series of recommendations. Leadership positions are identified, who should take the lead on internal assessments. And this is for Olympia and beyond, by the way. But we have lots of work to do with this destination master plan. We've paid money for the study. So now it's almost time to execute. So leadership positions have been identified, who should take the lead on initial assessments, who should do what. The conversation came out that we're great with planning in the county, but when it comes time to execution, and that's going to be delicate because we're going to be working with different partners. So the executive director understands that. And so everyone understands who should take the lead and who should do what, so we can become a dynamic place to visit in the future. And EDC has a huge role in this, and more to follow. My last item is an update on the Little Food Pantry. As we know, food insecurity is up. People are hungry in Tumwater. So ways to reduce hunger in Tumwater, and we know that there's a gap. We have people who don't want to go to the food bank. Don't know why. Shame, stigma, not having time. So I've partnered with the Little Food Pantry, and we try to work with the food bank, but the food bank needs names and specific data, and some people just don't want to provide that. So the workaround for that is I went to our local Safeway and just asked, can you help these little food pantries with food that you had? And I was glad that the young lady said, sure, I've been there, I've been hungry. So the Little Food Pantry is gonna work with Safeway to get the food that we need for those pantries to continue to feed our hungry people. And that's all I have, Mayor.
Thank you. Councilmember Von Holtz.
Could I ask Angela a question?
Yes, go ahead.
Thank you. Angela, I wanted to know, is that just one Safeway store in Tumwater or is it both of them?
Yes, I just approached one Safeway store and we're gonna look at one because we don't have the capacity right now. So one should work, and when we grow and get another Little Food Pantry, and then, I'm gonna approach the other one and say, hey, that one is helping us. Can you help us too? So that's my plan ahead.
Which one did you go to?
The one on Little Rock.
The one on Little Rock?
Yes.
Okay.
Right, across from the Fred Meyer.
Mm-hmm. The
Right,
one a little closer to the hood, closer to our hood where we live, has been helpful in the past with requests. So I just wanted to let you know. So, and I know some of the people there. So when you're ready to,
They'll be ready to help me, and I
I'll be
will
re-
tell them that you sent me.
you tell them, you do that. Or better yet, have me go with you.
Will do.
Okay. Thanks for doing that, Angela.
Great, thank you. Councilmember Von Holtz.
Thank you, Mayor. I also attended the Easter egg dash the Saturday before Easter and got to attend it with my granddaughter, but also had my daughter with me, and it was kind of a really cool community moment with both Tumwater Fire and Tumwater Police. Lieutenant Kolb was at the event representing Tumwater Police, and she had coached my daughter, and so she was like, do you think Lieutenant Kolb remembers me? And I'm like, yeah, probably. But so I was like, let's go over and say hi. And so we walked over, and Sierra, my daughter, got to share what she's been up to as an adult. And I could just tell like it was a really great moment for the both of them. Other than Sierra is going to pursue a career in firefighting. So Lieutenant Kolb wasn't quite sure how to feel about that, but it was just a really cool moment and I watched it happen to the both of them, and how our public health and safety first responders are just really part of the community, and they really make a difference. And so that was a really cool moment for me as a mom and a council member. And then yesterday I attended the Law Enforcement Assisted Diversion Program meeting, and it was basically an overview of the program. And one of the things that they are starting to see is they need more staff. So they're going to be asking for additional funding for an FTE to help them maybe show up to scenes, maybe show up and help officers out for referrals. Also, what they're seeing is that they are getting referrals for people whose behavioral health needs are just greater than what they can really assist with. So more to come on that, but it was a good meeting, and it was a cool moment at the Easter egg dash.
Great, thank you. So that concludes council member reports. We do have an executive session, and I'm just checking. Are we going to do 20 or 30 minutes, do you think? We'll start with 20 minutes. Perfect. So the council will now meet in executive session to discuss potential litigation pursuant to RCW 4230-110 sub I to discuss a real estate acquisition pursuant to RCW, and to discuss a real estate acquisition pursuant to RCW 4230-110 IB 1B excuse me, I'm losing my voice. The council will be in executive session for 20 minutes. So we will be back at 8:45. Is that correct? 8:45? And the council is not expected to take further action following the executive session. So we are in recess. We will be it's continuing our recess, and we will be extending the executive session for a period of another 15 minutes for 9 o'clock. Thank you. We are extending our executive session until 9:10. Thank you. All right, we are coming back from recess with no further business. We are adjourned. Thank you, everyone.